and I'm a sales manager here at SpaceX, joining you from our headquarters here in Hawthorne, California. Just 15 hours ago, we successfully launched 52 satellites from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base, and we're back again joining you all for the launch of TURKSAT5B that was designed and manufactured by our customer Airbus. The satellite will provide broadband internet services to Turkey and various other parts of the world. We're having a busy few days as we are also gearing up to support the CRS-24 cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station on Tuesday, December 21st at 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. Before we explore more into today's payload, let's take a closer look at the Falcon 9 vehicle supporting today's mission. On your screen is a live view of Falcon 9 awaiting its 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Falcon 9 is our 2-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle and stands 230 feet or 70 meters tall, which is greater than the 1147 aircraft. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage. Most recently, we successfully launched a reflow booster for a record-breaking 11th time during the Starlink mission earlier today. As you can tell from the reentry soot, it's pretty easy to spot a flight-proven booster. Tonight will be the 3rd flight for this particular first stage. It previously supported NASA's CRS-22 mission in June earlier this year, and will get the F9 off the ground and up to the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere before separating from the 2nd stage and making its way back down to Earth for landing. And it's part of the rocket that we will attempt to recover for a 3rd time on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the first and 2nd stage will separate, and the 2nd stage will ignite its single MVAC engine to carry the TURKSAT5B spacecraft into a geostationary transfer orbit. The TURKSAT5B satellite is currently safely enclosed inside the 17-foot diameter payload fairing, which is the structure at the very top of the rocket you see on your screen. This protects the satellites from aerodynamic heating, loads, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing half. The fairing halves we are using today are flying to space for the 2nd time, both having previously supported the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission in June earlier this year. And we will be attempting to recover them today using our recovery ship, Bob.
Good evening. I'm John Insberger, Falcon Principal Integration Engineer, joining you from the webcast desk in Hawthorne, California. The launch and satellite vehicle teams are ready for launch as we approach T-minus 12 minutes to liftoff. Falcon 9 team was on console and received their T-minus 2 hours. Final vehicle checks began at the flight termination system and the Merlin engines on both the 1st and 2nd stages. And most recently, we completed the poll to proceed with propellant load and launch. This was at T-minus 38 minutes, and all 7 members of the 1st and 2nd stages used the same 2 propellants. One propellant is fuel, the second. Now, to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer. In the lower portion of the Earth's atmosphere, oxygen makes up about 21% of the air that you breathe. So most fires never need to worry about supplying. It's supplied by the oxygen in the air. However, there is no atmosphere in space to provide oxygen molecules, so rockets need to carry their own. And our oxidizer is super chilled liquid oxygen called densified LOX. The liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point, and that increases its density, allowing us to load more into the 1st and 2nd stage LOX tanks. Falcon 9 carries over 1.1 million pounds of propellant at liftoff. You can see her on the screen. We burn off most of it in the first 8.5 minutes. Now, all of that propellant goes through the 9 engines on the 1st stage and the single engine on the 2nd stage. Now, later in flight on the 2nd stage video, you may notice the nozzle of the 2nd stage engine is larger than on the 1st stage engines, the vacuum. So in the vacuum of space, a large nozzle allows the pressure of the Merlin engine to fully expand so that it matches that vacuum pressure when it leaves the nozzle. Now, if we tried to use that large nozzle on the 1st stage engines, it would be very inefficient until the last second of outer space. So we use a smaller nozzle on 1st stage engines, and that's a much better match for flying through the Earth's atmosphere on the way to space. On the weather front at Cape Canaveral, we started with a 10% probability of violating launch weather requirements. We've been watching some showers on both sides of the launch complex, but nothing right now looks like it's going to interfere with launch. So we don't expect any weather holds as we continue the countdown. The weather conditions are also looking good for booster landing on our drone ship and for fairing recovery. recovery. So with that, the launch vehicle, the satellite, the weather, and the range are all good to go for a 10:50 p.m. Eastern Time liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40.
As I mentioned earlier, the 40 longitude slot in geostationary orbit in order to provide service in a wide range of areas covering the Middle East, the Persian Gulf. The TURKSAT5B has high data transfer.
started. Seeing a lot of condensation as we're boiling off, or we actually have the cold second stage liquid oxygen meeting that warm Florida air. But we probably can see the arms start to open. And then once the arms are open, the strong back will move about 2 degrees away. And then once we're at launch, ground hydraulics will move the strong back to a position about 45 degrees away. Now, first stage fuel loading is complete. We're currently waiting for first stage liquid oxygen loading to complete at about T-minus 3 minutes. Second stage will complete a minute after that. Now, 1 minute before liftoff, means the rocket's first and second stage computers are now controlling the launch countdown on the Falcon 9. Now at about T-minus 2 seconds, we'll light the 9 engines on the first stage. Once the engines are confirmed to be at full power, the flight computer on the second stage will command the ground hold downs to release the rocket right at T0.
Stage 1 lock load complete.
You've heard the call out. Stage 1 lock load is complete. We're on time, coming up at T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Now, the satellite team is continuing to monitor the status and health of the TURKSAT5B payload low satellite. The satellite did switch from ground power to its internal batteries 2.5 minutes shortly. Everything continues to look good. We're still loading liquid oxygen on the second stage. The area around Complex 40 are clear for launch. And on the weather front, as we talked a few minutes ago, the good news is we don't have any weather that looks like it's going to hold us. But if we did have a weather rule violated, we cannot stop and try to launch later. But the good news is the weather looks good for launch. Now, if for some reason we have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a backup opportunity scheduled tomorrow at the same time.
Stage 2 lock load complete.
Here we are. So we've closed out propellant loading on all stages. We're getting ready to begin putting down or purging the liquid oxygen propellants out of the strong back that we're going up to the second stage. And then we'll be venting down pressure in the strong back. And you can see there's a stream of white out, and it's meeting that warm, humid Florida air. And you get that white condensation. Next event coming in 10 seconds is going to be startup. We'll also begin pressurizing the first and second stages for launch.
Falcon resume startup.
We've gone to startup. Flight computers on both stages are now running the Falcon 9 countdown. You heard it. Launch director is given the go. Everything good. T-minus 36 seconds and counting. All systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9 with TURKSAT5B.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 16 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff. Take on chamber pressure nominal.
T-plus 40 seconds. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying the TURKSAT5B satellite to geosynchronous transfer orbit. We've throttled down in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Good views from the SpaceX ground cameras following the first stage.
Supersonic.
We've gone supersonic. The Merlin engines are back up to full power.
Max Q.
And we're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. Everything continues to look good. Trajectory is nominal.
Sua máxima pressão atmosférica.
100 seconds into flight, coming up in just under a minute. We're going to have main engine cutoff, where we shut off the 9 Merlin 1D engines. We'll separate the stages, and then the second stage,
Satélite.
in that D engine chill-in call-out, we've begun putting a little bit of liquid oxygen through the turbo pump to get it cold in preparation for second stage ignition. That's coming up in just about 3-4 seconds from now.
Desligou os motores. Desligou os motores. Exploração do primeiro estágio agora.
First stage is coming up on 4G's acceleration, and we're going to begin throttling down to hold 4G's.
Aceleração de 4G.
Getting ready for main engine cutoff.
7.800 km, 7.900. Separar agora.
First stage engine cutoff.
Voltar o
Stage
booster,
separation
primeiro estágio. O booster voltando. Segundo estágio, ignição. Ignição do segundo estágio.
And back ignition.
We've got Merlin vacuum engine. We'll be coming up on fairing deploy in a little under 30 seconds. It's Florida in the background as we head east from the Cape into our transfer orbit parking orbit.
7.700 km. 100 km de altura.
We're getting ready to stage a switch forward to look at the spacecraft and the payload fairing for fairing deploy.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you see, the two fairing halves are separated, falling away from the vehicle. We're now exposing the TURKSAT5B satellite to outer space. As a reminder, we will be attempting to retrieve these two fairing halves with the help of our supported the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission in June of this year. But right now, we're at T plus 4 minutes.
As John mentioned, it's T plus 4 minutes, now 20 seconds into today's mission. We're currently in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns for satellite deployment. At T plus 6 minutes and 27 seconds, you should see on your screen the first stage is entry burn, which a burn that lasts 24 seconds. For the entry burn, we relight the center engine E9, and then partway through, we relight E1 and E5 engines. So we have a total of 3 M1D engines helping to slow down the vehicle as it passes through the Earth's atmosphere. Longer, narrower plume. The Falcon 9, that first stage that is supporting today's mission, will perform this entry burn for the 3rd time, having previously supported 22 resupply. The Merlins on the first stage are, with their short nozzles, are optimized for sea level. These achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and descent, while the MVAC engine with its extended nozzle is optimized for 220,000 pounds of thrust in vacuum. Now we're about 45 seconds away from the entry burn on the first stage. If you're just joining us, we had a successful launch from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral, and we're currently watching the second stage on the right-hand side of your screen enter orbit. With the left-hand side of your screen, the first stage is heading back to our drone ship in the Atlantic, a short fall of gravitas. Let's watch out for that landing, that entry burn begin in just a moment.
Stage 1, FTS is safe.
Stage 1 entry startup.
Really bright from that entry burn start.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there it looks like we've had a successful entry burn shutdown. If you noticed on the launch pad, the Falcon 9, if you ever wondered how those soot markings are formed, RP1 burns. Since reentry occurs engines first, the booster flies through its own plume, which deposits the soot on the rocket, and you can see some of those sparks and soot flying with the camera there on the left-hand side. Again, as a quick recap, we had a successful liftoff at 10:58 p.m. from Slip 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. A successful separation of the first and second stages. The first stage is on its way back to our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas in the Atlantic Ocean.
Stage 2, FTS is saved.
And the second stage is to it's coming up on a couple events, SECO 1 and landing burn.
4 km só de altura, 1000 km por hora. Nossa, 3 km de altura, 900 km, 800
Successful second engine cutoff, and
Nominal orbit
the landing burn has just started.
Caiu de 500.
And we just heard good orbit.
600 metros e tá 400 km por hora.
Confirmed a nominal orbital insertion. We're now
Stage
waiting on
one
our
landing
Falcon
leg
to
deploy.
land on drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. SpaceX is 99th successful booster landing, as well as SpaceX's 78th mission flying a reform booster. Our mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase between the first and second burns of the M-back-D engine. After the coast phase, we will light the
Eu não sei se eu vou concordar. YouTube dá um. Aí, segundo estágio. Essa linha azul é a órbita que ele vai ficar. Vai ficar rente ao Equador para pegar aquele Arábia ali, aquela região da Turquia ali, as Arábias ali, bem em cima, né? Tá. Ele fica numa órbita de transferência geoestacionária do Complexo de Lançamento Espacial. Tal da 40, SLC-40. Ele tem combustível durante 15 anos. Para corrigir a órbita dele quando estiver errado. Corrigir a órbita durante esse período. Um período útil provável assim, de 4, 5 anos de uso, mas ele está abastecido para 15 anos. Provavelmente que dure os 15 anos esse satélite. Um satélite turco. Estou ouvindo só o som do filtro do aquário. Está dando um delay de 15 segundos da minha transmissão para recepção. E esses lançamentos de satélite, assim, quando eu transmito, assim, eu estou gostando de transmitir depois que passa. Porque aí eu posso contar com a legenda em português. Porque ao vivo não traduz. Tem legenda só em inglês, né? Apesar de eu poder colocar legenda depois. Mas a minha internet segura só mais assim de vídeo para transmissão. Porque transmissão de vídeo, de ao vivo para ao vivo, né? De ao vivo para ao vivo, eu acho que pesa um pouco. O meu processador é muito antigo. Apesar de bom, né? Aquele Windows 2, Windows 2. Um processador muito bom. Mas é antigo, 2014 mais ou menos. Computador de 2004. E daqui a pouco, meia hora, vai, 36 minutos mais ou menos. Deve ter mais uma queima aí. E depois tem a separação do segundo estágio do satélite. Dando marcado ali, né, no mapa. Até ele chegar lá na frente, naquele pontinho, para soltar o satélite no espaço. Depois ele vai dar a volta em volta da Terra e chegar nessa linha azul aí, que é uma linha geoestacionária, que vai passar bem no Equador. Vai bem em cima do Oriente Médio, por ali. Primeira vez que eu vejo eles colocando música aí. É porque os turcos compraram esse serviço, né? Porque é exigências dos turcos, né? Para colocar uma música bem. É uma música bem legal, mas eu não sei se o YouTube vai. Nossa, tem que colocar uma música depois. Permitida pelo YouTube, né? No YouTube mesmo. Isso que tá falando agora. Música mesmo. Eu não estou usando o streamer, né? Eu estou guardando meu streamer para lançamento do James Webb. Não deve ter muitas horas, né? Mas talvez eu até transmita assim mesmo. Eu coloque na tela grande, na televisão. Eu acho que fica melhor fazer isso, colocar a televisão no lugar da tela do PC. Aí vai pegar toda essa parte que está aí, tá vago aí, virar a webcam para a tela e meter assim mesmo. Tá aqui, ó. Anotei aqui o dia do James Webb. Dia 24 de dezembro desse ano, né? Às 9h20 da manhã. Horário de Brasília. 9h20 da manhã. Vai ser de dia também. Um pouco de reflexo, igual tá tendo agora. Não consegui esconder a luz mais do que isso. Está bom, dá para manter registrado, né? Quero deixar registrado no YouTube aí, quem visitar minha página, bem-vindo, ver os vídeos. Está com foco ruim, deixa eu testar aqui. Porque a luz está atrapalhando o foco da. Cortar essa luz aqui, quer ver? Vou empurrar o webcam para dentro. Não dá. Foi. A webcam fica dentro de um potinho. Aí ela não quis entrar mais. Muito torto, hein? Ah, não, ele vai ter que. Tô olhando aqui agora. Na hora que ele chegar aqui, ó, por aqui, que ele vai soltar o satélite. Ele tá aqui, ó, não lá. Tá aqui, o segundo estágio com o satélite. A hora que chegar aqui, né? Que chegar aqui. E se chegar aqui. Aí deve ter mais uma queima aqui, talvez. E aqui vai soltar o satélite. Deploy aqui, solta o satélite, não deploy. É. Vamos ver se é isso mesmo. Se vai ter mais uma queima aqui. Já está chegando. Daqui até o deploy. Deploy e solta o satélite. Ele já está em órbita já. Já atingiu a velocidade máxima dele. Falta 30 km para 27 mil, né? Para manter em órbita. Já está em órbita, né? Velocidade. Talvez ele nem ligue mais, nem queime mais o motor já. Estou na velocidade. Alguma correçãozinha depois o próprio satélite faz. Agora. Ele tem que estar 27 mil. A 169 km de altura. Depois ele vai fazer essa correção aí para 170. A correção da velocidade. Talvez haja uma queimazinha assim, para dar uma impulsão, né? Desliga e solta. Talvez seja esse. Olha lá. Desacelerou um pouco, foi para 26.562. Provavelmente. No entanto, subiu, foi para 262 km, 263 km de altura, 26.551, caindo a velocidade. Voltou a música. Manter contato de novo. Certas áreas que o satélite vai passando, o segundo estágio vai passando. Aí voltou a imagem. Vamos ver se vai dar para ver uns ratinhos hoje. Música ainda. Provavelmente vai ter uma queima assim. 500 km abaixo. Música, aplausos. Chegando. Está caindo a velocidade. Provavelmente vai ter uma ignição do motor agora.
And developed by Airbus. We're coming up on the second burn of the upper stage engine in just first and second stages successfully separated. The first stage, which made its third flight today, landed on our drone ship, a short fall of graviton, the parking orbit you see on your screen right now. To relight the second,
lá atrás, ó.
We've got ignition of the second stage engine. We're up on power.
A lua, ó.
Second stage engine cutoff number 2. And this burn will place the TURKSAT5B satellite into the required orbit prior to separating it from the Falcon 9.
Aumentando a velocidade.
Power to the speed of
vai além de 35.000 km/h. Perdi o contato de novo.
And we've got shutdown of the second stage engine. We saw the race leading on the screen. And in the background, we heard nominal orbit insertion. That's the good orbit call out that we always like to hear. So as a reminder, for those tuning in, the TURKSAT5B satellite is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage. You can just see it a little bit there. We're getting into sunrise as we're coming up over Gabon, and we're leaving the Gabon ground station, coming up over Heart of Beastock in Africa. So right now, we're going to wait a few more minutes for the satellite to get closer to the final destination. So we're going to pause the commentary during the second coast phase, but we'll come back just before stage 2 separation takes place. We'll be back in 33 minutes and 30 tunes, and we'll see you back here.
Chegando ali constante mais para frente. Velocidade caindo. Aí agora mesmo vai ter a separação do satélite. Esse é o satélite. 35.600 km/h. 5.600. E aumentando a altura. Por isso que está a velocidade, porque está aumentando a altura. Talvez seja 500 km de altura. Bem perto da altura da estação espacial, né? 30 minutos de missão, 516 km de altura. Agora ele vai subindo e caindo a velocidade até chegar a 27.000, provavelmente. Na hora que chegar a 27.000 km/h, ele vai parar de subir e vai ter uma correção, né? Parar de subir, talvez ele está bem abastecido para 15 anos. Ele é bem grande, né? Satélite provavelmente fabricado da Airbus. Airbus ou pela Boeing? Aí, agora depois vocês pesquisam aí. Eu vou pesquisar também. E me deu uma dúvida agora. Eu li, eu vi e me deu uma dúvida. Acho que ela foi, né? Eu falo acho para pesquisar. Airbus ou Boeing? Não tem dúvida. É um dos dois. Muito deploy. Mais. Olha o sol. Beleza, o sol. Teve lua, teve sol. O CGI da telemetria e é a câmera mesmo. A terra lá embaixo, nossa, hoje foi tudo. Teve lua, teve sol. Cloud Frost Effect. Airbus. Foi feito pela Airbus.
The Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, Nigeria, various parts of Africa, and its immediate neighbors in addition to Turkey. TURKSAT5B will be the most powerful of the TurkSat satellite fleet and has a designed service life of over 35 years. Now, at any moment, we'll begin deployment from our Falcon 9 second stage. Get a good view right here.
Uma boa vista.
The TurkSat5B satellite from the Falcon 9 second stage, which now brings today's webcast coverage to a close. Thank you to Airbus for entrusting us with the TurkSat5B satellite. A big thank you to the Range SpaceX, having supported 2 missions within roughly 18-hour time frame. But as we mentioned before, it doesn't end there. Be sure to join us for the next cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station with the CRS-24 mission, December 21st at 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. And to all our viewers, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon.
Tem mais lançamento de reabastecimento da Estação Internacional. Eu acho que chegou o fim, né? A música não dá coisa lá não, mas vai que dá, né? Terminou. Isso aí, valeu, galera, obrigado. Vamos ver o replay aí.